What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Coach Joe Strong, here to bring you another powerful episode of the Business of Strength podcast, where you can hear the tips, tools, and interviews to grow your gym business and turn your passion for strength into a profitable business you will love. Today, we're doing a little recap of my weekend down at Winterstrong, and the title of this podcast is Your Network is Your Net Worth. And I just want to talk about over the last 30 years of growing our businesses and, growing myself and others around me as a leader, uh, I think, the people you surround yourself with and how you build your team to your, advisory board to the communication with others in your industry is such a critical component to success that I think it needs a little bit of, chatting about to get a better understanding and tell a couple anecdotal stories about our business and how things, have transpired. So, as many of you who follow me on social media might have seen this past weekend, I was down at Sorinex, Winterstrong. They run two like core events each year, Winterstrong and Summerstrong. Summerstrong is primarily a strength and conditioning event for private sector, collegiate, and professional military strength and conditioning enthusiasts and coaches. And Winterstrong is basically taking the strength and conditioning community and the outdoors community, hunting, fishing, archery, rifles, pistols, outdoor survival, things like that, and bringing those two communities together. Bert Soren, the owner of Sorinex, is an avid outdoorsman and said basically I had all these friends over here in the strength world who had these amazing skills and really loved the idea of hunting, fishing, and outdoors and things like that. And then I had these amazing friends over here who were into hunting and fishing and outdoors, and they had these amazing skills and they could really benefit from the strength and conditioning and vice versa. So he just created Winterstrong a bunch of years ago. I think this was number 7. So let's take that 7 years ago. And, really had like 30, 35 of his friends just come to their family farm and basically share their abilities with each other. And it was like, hey, you're good at strength and conditioning, you teach this. Hey, you're good at outdoors, you're good at archery, you teach this. Hey, you're a pistol expert, marksman, you teach this, right? So they brought those two communities together and it's grown over the years. This is my second year going. And it's honestly one of my absolute favorite events that I've ever been to in the world. Many of you know my passion for strength, but I have a true passion for the outdoors. And in recent years, I've always fished and hunted and hiked and biked and skied and all those things. I kind of have too many hobbies. Um, but in the last like 6 or 7 years or so, I've really ignited my passion for hunting again, specifically archery, bow hunting. And I had my friend Brandon Lilly on the podcast a bunch of years ago and saw what he was doing and started following him and communicating with him and had like some serious FOMO from watching him hunt all over the world and was like, man, I got to get back into that. I used to hunt a lot when I was a kid with my uncles when I was little, like most kids, 10, 11, 12 to 18, left for college. Didn't really have the time to invest in bow hunting and just getting out in general. So I would bird hunt. I would maybe go here and there. I did a couple pig hunts with some friends and I always fished. Obviously, I have a lake house. I'm fortunate enough to have a family lake house. And so I bass fish a ton. And those things kind of have always, been a big part of my life. And then, like most, I just got super busy and really didn't do it for a while. And then, like I said, right around when my son was born, so about 7 years ago, I was like, you know what, I want to I want to get back into this, and I dove deep, 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 deep down the rabbit hole, and had a profound experience, hunting in the last couple of years, and I've been able to travel a lot. I went to Australia with a buddy of mine and Brandon and another fellow Hanse who's become a good friend. And I got some big hunts planned for this year and next year. So, plus just whitetail hunting and black bear hunting here in New Jersey and New York has been amazing. So my point is that, when Bert talks about it, and they're kind of their catch tag for Winterstrong is, thin air, deep water. And you go to events, and whether it's strength and conditioning, business masterminds, or, events like this, like Winterstrong, and, I always think about Macho Man when I think about thin air, deep water, because like the cream rises to the top. Right. And it's kind of the truth, though, right? Because the same people keep showing up, right? And the people who are truly committed to the process of getting better and improving their skill sets and have that white belt mentality and a thirst for knowledge, but also a thirst for human connection. And that's always been my thing, is I've always kind of known that the pathway to success is through other people, that there are skills and abilities and networks that I currently don't have that other people do. And through good intentions and process, you can seek those people out and aid them in some way, shape, or form, and therefore then gain their skills and benefits by passing down your skills and benefits. So obviously my skills are, I would say, in the realm of hunting, there's guys there at Winterstrong who, absolutely blow me out of the water. I'm a pretty good archer and obviously a very good gym business owner and businessman and marketer. And I'm always happy to pass those skills down. I had lots of great conversations with other business owners that were there that own companies completely outside the realm of strength and conditioning, knives, coffee, food. And we had some engaging conversation about marketing and marketing process where I think they gained a tremendous amount of insight into building an overall marketing strategy, sales process, branding strategies, and things like that. And in turn, they open up their mind, their, connections, their skill sets, and pass that down to me. So here's a couple things when you go to an event like this. I'll give you like the lineage and kind of how this all came about. And I really owe my friend Zach Even-Esh, a nod of gratitude and credit, because a lot of people are closed-minded and closed off and, you know, for whatever reason, see other business owners and people as adversaries or adversarial and treat things adversarial. I've never been that way. And most of the people I surround myself are not that way. And in fact, that's something that kind of turns me off immediately as a person. I really don't want to be around and deal with people like that. But a few years ago, Zach reached out during COVID, was thinking about selling his business and needed some help, and asked me and Dan to come down and just kind of give him some insight about the business. And truth be told, he was thinking about pitching it to us to buy it. And then for whatever reason, things didn't go through the way he wanted to. So he wound up keeping the underground, thankfully, right? And he invited me down later that summer to attend a workshop or a certification he was running at Sorinex. And I came down, and he really went out of his way to make me feel like I was part of it, and not just like I was there as like a part-time bit speaker. We went out to lunch, went out to dinner. He took me out fishing with Bert and the crew. He included me in everything, and he really went out of his way to introduce me to a bunch of people who are now close friends, and some of them have become clients of ours, the Business of Strength, because of those connections. And when I was there with Bert, obviously we got to chatting, and talking about our passion for fishing. He's a big fisherman too, and our passion for the outdoors. And I'd recently told him, this going on 5 years, that I'd just recently gotten back into bow hunting a lot and so forth, and he was all pumped up for me and excited. And then over the last few years, we've gone to Summer Strong for the last 5 years. We've like I said, did the Winterstrong the last couple of years, and every single time I go, I'm amazed by the people and the collective of skills that attend these events. On the strength side, obviously there's some amazingly strong humans, but strength pales in comparison to knowledge and the ability to teach that knowledge to others. Guys like Travis Mash, who, is a world-class Olympic weight coach, Sean Backer, the carnivore man, uh, you know, you name it. I mean, collegiate strength conditioning coaches, Bo Sandoval, Rusty Wick, guys like that who've spoken, who both, who Rusty obviously is a military man and who has a military background and a head strength conditioning coach at Tulane. So, There's just tremendous knowledge there, and what they've seen and done is unbelievable. And their willingness to, shake hands and open up doors for us is a direct reflection of the circle you're in, the types of people that you're surrounding yourself with. So, I always say that every coach needs a coach. If you're coaching other humans, you should actively be being coached because it's a natural filtering down process. You're learning, they're learning, you learn, live, learn, pass it on, if you will. And the ability to get coached teaches you how to coach. And that's an important distinction. Being coachable as a coach is a direct reflection of your ability to coach someone else. If you're uncoachable as a coach who's coaching other humans, whether it's on the realm of fitness or in the realm of business, you are probably a steamroller coach where you are pushing your ideologies and let's call it wants and dreams and needs on other people instead of taking what their feedback is giving you and molding your coaching to fit their needs, goals, wants, and dreams. And I see that time and time again where there are lots and lots and lots of gym owners who are spend their entire day coaching other people and have never really been a coach themselves in a high level way to understand what that feels like to be, in a sense, under somebody else's tutelage. I love being in a room full of masters of their crafts. In the last few years, we've spent a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money on business mentorship. We've worked with, some great business mentors. I talk about Pat Rigsby all the time, our mentor and good friend, Vince Gabriel. I met, guys like Devin Gage, you know, Mark Ennis, Scott Carpenter, right? There's so many other people out there who have just incredible skill sets that are doing things at a faster rate, speed, and ability. And we've learned so much from them. And I think about like where our business would be, or where more importantly, where we would be personally if we had not surrounded ourselves with winners and people who have this unflappable discipline to succeed. Discipline is a habit, right? And I'll use some analogies here, but discipline is a habit. Discipline is a habit that gets repeated over and over and over again for a long period of time until it becomes a lifestyle. And winning is a habit. Success in fitness is a habit. Financial success is a habit. Marital success is a habit. Being a good parent is a habit, right? It's doing certain things consistently well over a period of time and acknowledging faults. There's obviously lots of emotional side that goes to being a good husband, being a good, family man, being a good business partner and things like that. But it really is just a set of habits. So the analogy that I'll use is one that's current right now in fitness, right? And they say, well, a lot of people blame being overweight or unfit or unhealthy on genetics, right? And they say, oh, well, being overweight is in my genes. It's in my runs in my family. And and of course there are some small exceptions where that may or may not be true. But the reality is that bad habits run in families. Bad eating habits, bad food ideologies, bad social ideologies, um, bad emotional ideologies surrounding food and the quality and or the quantity, and or using food as a pacifier for emotion runs in families. And you pick up those set of habits from the people you're surrounded with. And one of the hardest things that we face here as fitness professionals is trying to get people to break some of their bad habits, being that they're surrounded by them with their family. And it's easier said than done. You got lots of people out there like, F your family. Just, you got to sometimes you got to cut your own family off. All right. Okay, pal. I'm going to tell my mom to F off. you know. But the reality is that you have some of these bad habits and they're being pushed on you all the time. And it's very difficult to break those habits. Well, think about business. How many strength coaches and gym owners started off the process with a business degree, a degree in marketing or finance and business development, business management, and going into the business of strength purely as a business person, as an asset and a business to grow, not as a coach, not as a passionate person who had a life-changing fitness experience or wanted to be a great coach or loved strength and conditioning or wanted to work with athletes like I did, right? The vast majority of us, probably somewhere around 95%, started in the business of fitness because of a passion to help people, a passion for fitness, a passion for training. We love sports, we love training, and a lot of us didn't really know what else to do with ourselves, and we just kind of kept circling around to this gym thing. Well, I like being jacked and tan, so maybe let's maybe do that, right? And it just after time, the habit of doing it becomes the thing that you're good at. The thing that you're good at becomes something that you like. The thing that you like becomes something that you'll become a pro at. The thing you become a pro at becomes your profession, right? And so forth. And then all of a sudden now it's my passion, right? And that kind of the lineage, right? So I think a lot of people forget that. So wouldn't it make sense that if that same person who had bad family habits, if they grew up in a fit family that prioritized fitness and health and ate healthy, cooked their own food, exercised regularly, was some avid outdoors people, right? I look at the lifestyle that I grew up in versus the lifestyle my son grows up in. I grew up around some very bad habits, bad eating habits, smoking and drinking habits. My dad smoked 3+ packs a day. My mom smoked two. My stepdad smoked two. My sister smoked two. Right. I never smoked. Right. I grew up around a lot of drinking. Right. I drank socially, but it was never a thing. Right. I was always into training. I was the outcast, the weirdo. Nobody in my family ever worked out a day in their life. I was cooking my own food and grilling my chicken when I was 14 years old. I just liked the idea of that discipline and standing out and being different. When everybody was going left, I was trying to go right. So I'm one of the few that broke that mold. But my son is growing up in an environment that's vastly different than the environment that I had. We work out almost every day, my wife and I and my son. We're very, very active, especially in the summertime at night. We go for walks every night. On the weekends, we're busy. We've skied every single weekend since the beginning of December, right? We're going skiing this weekend, going skiing next weekend, going to Lake Placid to go skiing more the weekend after that, right? So we're super active. We're fishing, hiking, biking, hunting. I take him hunting with me all the time, right? He goes fishing with me every day when we're at the lake, right? So we're always on the move. We prioritize, I cook all our food. I prioritize healthy food. We don't let him eat all the junk and snacks and things like that. Those are treats. Those are once in a while things. We eat meat, fruits, and vegetables primarily. And so his environment and the habit set that he's surrounded by is incredibly different than the habit set that I had. When you look at business, I see a commonality in the gym game where, like I said, most people came into it for passion and they get busy getting busy. And a lot of them are good coaches. A lot of them are really good people. So they do get pretty busy and they have some early success. Their first gym or their first 100 clients, things go really smooth and exciting and everybody's fired up and happy, but they stay in their bubble and they don't improve their surroundings and they don't get around other gym owners who are crushing it or 3 gyms in, 5 gyms in, 10, 15 gyms in, 1, 2, $3 million in revenue, better systems, better mindset towards business, right? Vince Gabriel has a great saying that I love. It's the person who wins the game of business is the lowest heart rate in the room, who's unflappable, does not get the emotional highs and lows, right? New business people or people who have less business skills get very emotional. Everything a client leaves, right? Just emotional. Employee issues, everything's a big problem, right? Where like now I look back and after 30 years of doing strength as a profession, there's not really that much that gets me too fired up. I might bitch and complain to Dan a little bit, and we'll have our rant sessions here and there. But the reality is that I don't get too bugged out about it anymore. I don't go home all emotionally distraught over the day-to-day little things that happen in our business every single day. And so primarily because I've surrounded myself with other great business people and I saw how they act and I saw how little they let those little details bother them. I saw how they took those small problems and turned them into opportunities to create better systems, better people, better leadership, and solve those problems quickly and efficiently instead of ruminating over them, and letting the emotional toll of, let's say, an employee quitting and stealing clients, or a client, complaining about something in the gym or whatever it might be, a broken toilet, right? Which is, they don't put all that stuff in the gym business handbook, right? All the broken, items in your gym and business and so forth. But because we've surrounded ourselves with other high professionals, people who were ahead of us in the game, people who had tasted more success than we had at whatever level we were at that time, we were able to see how they conducted themselves and their business. I've picked up some amazing things that translate to my family being in those groups. It's more than just business. I see how these high performing men and women interact with their families, with their clients, with their friends. And I say, man, that's success. Success is having a great business that works for you, not letting it drive you insane, and focusing your time, energy, and attention on the things that matter most: your fitness, your family, your finances, your personal skill sets, and having some damn fun. Everybody I know who's a really successful business owner has a ton of fun and does tons of cool shit, right? They're always out hunting, hiking, taking sick vacations, things like that, because there's a recharge and an awakening that happens. Again, surrounding yourself with greatness, getting out of your comfort zone and going somewhere. So this past weekend was cool, man. We got out of our comfort zone. I stayed in a Airbnb with Zach and my buddy Jonny and Zach's son E, who was awesome. It was great to see, a 16-year-old kid who, put it on the line, and he really got after it, man. I was really proud of him, and I know his dad obviously it's his dad, and Zach's my friend. So, you know, Zach's a very involved father and, loves and cares for his family deeply. So it was really nice as another dad to see, kind of look into the future and what I hope for my son Antonio in a few years to be, as fired up, as competitive, and as he was a great kid. Thank you. Nice to meet you, that type of stuff. And just having some of those social etiquettes, I thought was really, really great. And, we spent the whole weekend together and we, shooting bows, shooting guns and pistols, sharpening knives, forging knives in the forge, and we had this amazing competition. They do a great competition on day two, and it's kind of like a combination of strength and conditioning and outdoor events. So, it's like a fitness station, an archery station, a pistol station, a rifle station, an outdoor survival station. This year it was like a medical. You had to create like a stretcher and carry items from one area to another. Last year, oh, and we had to do a tourniquet. Last year, it was fire starting, and you had to start a fire in the wild using materials that they gave you. It was super cool, right? We had this guy Rick Spicer on our team. Rick is basically like a woodland elf who started fire in like 30 seconds. It was unbelievable. I didn't even know what I was looking at. I was like, holy shit, did that just happen? And I mean, he literally grabbed some sticks, twigs, and berries, out of the woods and made a fire in seconds. I was like, holy crap. If the zombies ever come, I want Rick on my team, man. That's for sure. Because we could just live in the woods forever. He knows how to forage and everything, right? He making stick bows out of twigs and berries. It was pretty incredible. So, um, you know, that's really, what I think is something special, right? Is seeing those people with those incredible skill sets that have just really gone down the rabbit hole to a degree that most people um would never even bother to try because they're scared of failure. They're scared of um They're scared of rejection. They're scared of putting themselves out there. I had a friend of mine, who was there at the Winterstrong. They do a big competition. They do archery competition to shoot for captains, right? And you got to try and shoot a 60-yard shot. It was roughly like 60. It was actually like 63 or 64 yards to a 8-inch target. And the closest to the bullseye center is captain number one. And then they go down the line for, I think, 10 or 12 captains. I think this year we did 12 captains. So, closest to the center and then out from there, right? And the last 2 years, I made team captain, which I was really proud of because I put a lot of work into the archery side of things, and I just love it as a hobby, as something to do, as a passion. But there were a lot of guys who didn't compete, and I said, "Well, how come you didn't compete for God? There's a lot of good archers there. I didn't want to do it." I was like, "You didn't even take the shot. You didn't even try. You didn't even take the shot. What do you mean? Like that doesn't even compete. Shoot over the target. Who cares? Shoot into the woods. Who gives a shit? Get up there and take the shot." And I think like again, like I've surrounded myself with killers most of my life, guys that, and I don't mean that literally. I mean, men and women who take life by the balls and don't take no for an answer. My business partner Dan is a killer. Dan works his ass off. Dan, is competitive as hell. And, Dan and I have gone to war every day for nearly 20 years together. And I'm always, grateful that I have a, ride or die who puts as much energy, attention, love, passion, and effort into our business and into our families and into our lives as he does. I could say the same thing for Big Mike and Adam. Those guys have transformed our business. I could say the same thing about a bunch of our young employees who've been with us for a few years now who are helping to transform the next generation of what Varsity House will be. I could say the same thing about the business coaches that I've hired. Vince has transformed our business. Vince has opened my mind and opened the door to connections and people around the world that I otherwise didn't have. Pat did the same thing. When I first went out to Louisville to Pat Rigsby, we got introduced to a few guys that we're still friends with, guys that had 7-figure gyms, back in 2010 when that wasn't even a thing. And I said, wow, it gave me perspective. I said, this is possible. I can do this. I see somebody else doing it. He's just flesh and blood. I can do it too. So, by going to events like Summer Strong, Winter Strong, or Business Mastermind, having to go to an event like where you have to put your P&L on the table, bring your financials, right? Like if from the business side, going to like 10,000, like a Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small business leaders event, or going to one of Vince's like CEO events where you got to bring all your financials and your POS statements, put them on the table, and it's like for everybody to look at and sift through and like they scrutinize you. It's like literally like getting up in front of the room and taking your pants off after being in the ice plunge, and it's like, oh man, and it's nerve-wracking. So what do most people do? They just don't do it. They just won't bother. They don't want to expose themselves. And um that's the issue that I see with the majority of people and why I continue to dive down the rabbit hole of going to events like Summer Strong and Winter Strong because I believe in Bert's mission. I love the team from Sorinex. I love what they're doing. I love the people they've brought in. And I believe I can add value to that community through my expertise in gym business and marketing. And I can help people with their gym businesses and I can help collegiate and professional strength coaches transition those who want to transition to the private sector effectively. And I'm pretty fit and I'm pretty good at hunting and archery and things like that. So I hope that I come there and compete well and add value in that respect. Although, like I said, there's some guys there who are absolute like freaks of nature, both physically and on the hunting side of things, on the outdoor side of things. And in the same respect, I've gained so much from their community and learned so much from them and met so many amazing people. I'm hanging out, with obviously he's a living legend, like hanging out with Coach, Bill Gillespie. It's unbelievable. To be able um, to talk to a guy who's bench pressed 1,000 pounds. Like you got to be shitting me. Guy's an absolute freak, and he's cool as hell. Loves to hunt. Carries a big knife, and wears camo, and we just hang out and have a beer and have some nice conversation together. We talk strength, we talk hunting, we talk life, and it's like, man, I'm sitting here sitting on a stump next to like six world-class collegiate or pro strength and conditioning coaches, an elk hunter, and my buddy Jonny, who's in finance, right? And everything else in between. And that's kind of cool. And because you can gain so much insight from that. So, this was more of just a reminder to everybody that if you're feeling stuck in your business, in your personal life, in your family life, in your friendships, in your emotional state, it might be time to shake up your circle a little bit. And I'm not saying you go get rid of anybody you have. I never did. Like I'm very loyal to my friends. I mean, there's friends who have, that I've had since I was a kid, and maybe they're not doing the same things I'm doing or don't have the same like fire and yearn for success and personal progress as I do, but they're great people. I'm never going to just like toss them to the curb, but I've went out and got new friends and made new connections and surrounded myself with new people that do light me up and do a lot of the same things I'm doing now and do have the same moralities and goals and dreams that I have now, right? And that's really important. So my urge is to get out there, and there's some great people doing some great stuff. I'm going to name a few people here that I think could really help, and people that I've used personally and or know personally who are doing some really great things in those spaces. If you're looking for improve yourself as a man to improve your mindset, your lifestyle, and dominate your life, I'm the first person that I would go speak to if you need some help is Jay Ferrugia. He's Renegade Podcast. Jay's was a big help and someone that I followed and looked up to. He's from Jersey, so I always knew him and followed him starting up in the gym business. And he runs these Renegade weekends and has a Renegade mentorship program, and it is world class to say the least. Like absolutely amazing, really great stuff. I went to one Renegade weekend and it was transformative. Honestly, I took things away that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And I made friends there with other men who will be friends for the rest of my life. And that's a fact. So I would speak to Jay. One of Jay's counterparts, who I also recommend, who's out there, is part of the, I guess, part of the circle, is Mike, and he is, a part of that as well. So definitely connect with Jay, and he'll get you set up. Um, a friend of mine, Brian Panuzzo. Brian's got another kind of man up, man intervention type executive, mostly for corporate execs and stuff like that, doing some really great stuff. You could check him out, Brian Panuzzo. In terms of business, obviously, the business of strength if you're in the gym game, but I think like, Dan Sullivan's program is world class. Donald Miller's program is world class. And there are so many more. And then when we're just talking about fun events to go to, some of the best events, like I said, if you're into strength and you're in the realm of strength training, I would speak to, um, I would head down to Summer Strong. I would get out to Winterstrong. I would get to some fun competitions. I would sign yourself up for something hard. That's another thing. Like, when I sign myself up for like, you know, um, hard things like a 50K or a hunt or something like that, I always connect and meet with such amazing people. Sometimes you just need to throw yourself on the fire. Sign yourself up for a High Rocks or, a Spartan trail race or something like that, and just, get to training. Me and like a dozen guys are going to climb Mount Washington in a couple weeks, and I only know like two people. But I'm pumped to meet everybody else and see what everybody else is into because I'm on a text feed with everybody. They seem like a bunch of savages, and I'm pumped to see them and meet with them. And, it's just really awesome. So your net worth is directly proportional to your mindset, and there is no greater anchor or speed or rocket fuel to your business than the mindset of the business owner and their management team. And if you've been struggling in business, it's almost always a direct reflection of your mindset. One more I want to give you too is the family man. My guy Joe Hashi. If you want to get some amazing family tips that are honestly incredibly thoughtful, compassionate, and empathetic, meaning, and Joe will laugh if he hears this because, Joe's a bit the best chop buster I know. So he comes off sometimes personally as being unempathetic, but it's just he's doing it to us as a joke. But he's got a program called the Official Family Strong. Him and his wife, Mel, do some help, other couples with some family planning and ideologies. They got a podcast and stuff like that. And it's really, really great. And it's really great stuff. And Joe's a great dude and a savage beast of a human being. And from everything I see from the outside looking in, a great husband, a great dad, and I've learned a tremendous amount from him. So, I would definitely you know, um, try to connect with him a little bit to see exactly what he's got going on and see if there's something there for you to help with and so forth. So get out there and connect, gang. You got to do something different. Got to do something big and bold. Guys like Jesse Isler talk about it all the time. You got to have some hard shit on your calendar to make you more. Joe DeSena talks about it all the time. You got to know you're alive. Part of being alive is doing badass shit with badass people. And one of the reasons why I keep going down to Winterstrong and Summerstrong with Bert and his crew is because he's a savage, badass human being that surrounds himself with other badasses that do badass shit. And that sounds pretty damn cool to me. This is the Business of Strength. See you next time.